Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's Daily Source. This is the show where I meditate and then I tap in and give myself the guidance that I most need to hear, and I share it with all of you. And then at the end, I ask myself a question to ponder to help put the advice into play in my life. And that's what I do on the Daily Source. So, welcome. If it's your first time checking us out, thanks for being here. Let's see what's coming through today. What do I most need to hear for my highest good and for the highest good of all other beings involved? Recognize that contraction is fuel for expansion, and expansion is fuel for contraction. And neither one of them are more right or to be more embraced or to be more important or to be more desired. They're both actually very necessary for your life to continue. So let's explain. Um, when you feel that feeling of expansion, it generally feels good, right? Expansion is that new client or that new result or that new apex, that new goal being achieved. That's the expansion feeling. When you get a good business deal, or when you get a new girlfriend, or when you get whatever it is, something that you wanted, you feel yourself expand. Right? And contraction is typically felt as a tightening. It's usually equated with negative emotions, being trapped, loss of freedom, um, things not working out the way you want them to, the way your mind intended them to, and that contracts you. It makes you feel bound. It makes you feel restricted. But the contractions are the things that fuel your expansion, in the sense that they're the things that have you feel discomfort and birth a new desire for a different reality, or see more clearly a new reality or a new goal with which you are earnestly seeking. And you wouldn't have those clarities, and you wouldn't be as clear and specific, and you wouldn't know exactly what you want without the contraction. So contraction fuels the experience of the expansion. And then also the expansion, when you bring yourself into a new reality, when you achieve some new goal or some new destination, some new result, and you feel expanded, you have more quality time with your family, you feel expanded, that actually creates the contraction, because in your awareness of the expansion, you become even more aware of things that are currently in your reality that are now too small for you. And so think about it this way. When you were 16 years old, having $1,000 in your bank account would not have felt like contraction. It wouldn't have felt small, right? Whereas now that feels incredibly small, incredibly scary, and tight, right? Why? Because you've expanded into such a larger version of yourself, or you're playing such a different game out in the world, that was what was once acceptable in reality no longer is, because you've expanded. Another simpler example would be the lobster, right? The lobster will shed its entire shell multiple times during its lifetime, right? The way that it sheds its shell, though, and grows into a bigger shell, is it first gets really, really contracted and tight inside its existing shell. Then it knows it needs to do the work to escape its current shell and then grow its new one and be comfortable again, right? So the contraction fueled the expansion. And then the expansion fuels the contraction, because eventually the lobster keeps growing, keeps growing. Eventually that expansion leads it to a place where it now needs to, it's feeling the contraction again, it's feeling that tightness again, and now it needs to take another action to again bring in the new shell and the larger reality for itself. So your life is just the same way. You expand, expansion actually breeds contraction, contraction moves you through some spaces and actually breeds the expansion, and the cycle continues as you continue to just become a larger and larger version of yourself, a truer and truer version of yourself, whatever it is you want to conceptualize it as, your destiny, your greatest life experience, whatever it is. So the reason this advice is coming through is because there are days when you feel contracted. And during those days, you especially want to escape. You don't like that feeling. You want to leave it behind, right? And my storage is almost full, so hopefully this wraps up soon. So recognizing that there's no inherent betterness in contraction or expansion, and the feelings thereof can bring a space of acceptance to both sides of the coin, recognizing that they actually fuel each other in a perfect harmony, and both are serving your greatest life experience. Cool. All right, powerful question today. Just something like, how can I notice my aversion to the feelings of contraction? And during those times, how can I recognize the inherent value in those feelings? What are a few moments where I've wanted to avoid those feelings, when I can actually revisit them and recognize their inherent value to show this to myself? Yeah. All right, everybody. Sending you tons of love, tons of positivity, tons of good juju for your day. Hope it's a great one. And I'll see you again soon with another daily source. Bye for now, everyone.